Captain on the bridge.
Alright, captains, we are back on the bridge, and today we will be going over some things from Star Trek Online, so on screen. Captains, before we get into this video, do us a huge favor, hit that like button. Also, if you're new here, welcome. Consider subscribing here to our YouTube bridge, where we're always on the lookout for like-minded captains, where we can share our love, our passion for Star Trek Online, but also things Star Trek. Now, that said, here we go. Captains, you have already seen the thumbnail, so you know what I will be talking about. So I don't know how long this video is going to be. I just finished my nightly duties there on the Twitch bridge, and I thought I would actually just go over this because I've been feeling a little, and let me just say this at first, I don't like to normally release these types of videos. No, I don't think I have, but I've had ECs to say about it in terms of maybe just feeling disappointed or not liking some of the things here, but I'll be doing that. Bear with me, there'll be maybe some rants here, but then of course at the end we'll give our conclusions. But with the drop of Incursion, there has been obviously some changes to the Borg, and hence why I've titled that thumbnail the way I did. The Borg are broken. And what do I mean by that? Well, we'll go over it step by step, and like I said, we will drop the ECs as we go along. Now, we did this video, of course, covering Incursion, and with Incursion we got this blog here, and they said that here in the new episode, Taken by Surprise, a Borg invasion force emerges from a reality vortex at Starbase 1. These Borg are different, stronger, ruthless, and more aggressive. Starfleet must use all their might, along with unexpected help, to repel the Borg forces. So, we know that with Incursion, they have changed the Borg, at least in this featured episode. Now, in the actual TFOs that we got, Resistance of Starbase 1 and also Guillotine, the changes there is we've gotten the assimilators to replace a lot of the Borg cubes, along with the spheres now also sort of do a kamikaze sort of warp core breach 2.0, where if you get too close to them, they will take you out as well, or at least take a good chunk of your HP. All in good. Again, we did the playthrough and we were having fun. And the new Borg, I'll say this first, the Borg on the ground, I like that they're having this sort of new ability to adapt, and they are different definitely from the Borg that we have been messing about with for years. But it's only limited to that episode, the ground Borg that is, because, and I'll kind of get into that here. So again, the going to the title, Borg are broken. Well, why? Well, it's so, not I'm saying it's so broken. It is broken that they had to actually release patch notes, some fixes to the Borg, because this was happening. And again, we covered this in a video. It was a couple weeks ago or last week when I said here, resolved an issue in infected conduit where sometimes the shields on the nanite generators and transformers would prematurely drop before the initial Borg fleet was defeated. I almost had the reverse effect, where the shield generators were actually dropping, but then the bug that we're having now is different. It's not even stated here in these patch notes. And what do I mean by that? So we'll go to this. This was actually from this last night's stream. So as of this video, the release of this video says last night's. Now, I'm not going to play the sound here, but, and I will say, with the assimilators, I'm not one of those captains that played Star Trek Armada. I'm glad they're in STO, because it is from Star Trek Armada, and of course the devs did a great job of getting them in here. That's great, but I don't feel, I don't know, I just don't like them. If on a scale of 1 to 10 I had to give them a rating, I'd say they're about like a 5 for me. They're like meh. I would rather have the Borg cubes. I would have rather actually have the Borg cubes be bigger And that's kind of one of the things I said in the videos that we did before, where in that thumbnail that I say new Borg incoming or whatever, I thought they made the Borg cubes bigger, but they're the same size. And the reason for their simulators is they're saying that they wanted to make the Borg cubes more of a threat. Well, I kind of have a thought on the cubes before I get into this. And again, I apologize about this. This is more of a rant, but I wanted to get these thoughts out there in video format here on the YouTube Bridge. So in the episode in Taken by Surprise, you know what, here, I'll finish that thought later. We'll show the bug now. Apologize. We'll show the bug now. So what's the bug as of this recording? So as you can see here, and I'll finish my thought on these assimilators there as well. Yeah, we're not going to go through the whole ISE, just a smidgen of it. As you can see, I was the tank in this video, and for some reason I can see like all the HP of my teammates kind of just dropping like crazy, and I don't know what was causing that. And in one of the ISEs previously, we were having that issues too, where I just wasn't gaining threat, and I think it was the warp core explosions, or maybe the more quote-unquote tougher Borg. But those spheres where they do that kamikaze like warp core breach 2.0, that they don't do that here. I thought that was initially causing the deaths of my teammates, but that wasn't the case. I looked at them while we were doing a cure, and they didn't do that sort of red animation before they explode. But anyways, so we took care of the first group. We took care of that left transformer. We head over to the right transformer, getting rid of that, your normal left to right run. Your standard quote unquote left to right run in a quote DPS run. And we're taking care of things here as normal. The nanite transformer is about to drop here. And this happened to us two nights in a row, both on Saturday and Sunday, where it took us 3 times to get an ISE where we can actually complete it. Why? Because the transform is exploded, and look, right there. The shields on the transwarp gate is still up. That's bugged, or quote-unquote feature, or whatever you want to call it. So this has to be brought to the attention of the devs, and I hope with this video we can get that out there and let them know, hey, it's still bugged. Now, both nights we had to do ISE twice before we got an instance where we can actually complete it. So in this ISE we actually left. Okay. Now the other broken part of the Borg here that came in with Incursion, the new season here that we're in as of this video, is in Kittimer. And Kittimer is like one of my favorite Borg pews here. So at the beginning, again, I'm glad it's still a Borg cube there, not an assimilator, because I feel like the assimilator just doesn't feel threatening as the Borg cube. But anyways, we do the start here as normal, take down the Borg cube. I'll crap forward here a bit. But when we get here, look, the shield generators for these, the shield for the generators are still up. So with this bug slash feature, what is happening is we're going straight for the actual conduits themselves, for the main generator here, or the nanite transformer, I should say. So normally what happens in this TFO is you take down 2 of these generators, in Elite, a Borg attack cube, and some spheres will come along. You have to take them down first, and then go through, and then take down the nanite transformer. But that's not the case here. What we're doing is actually just taking down the transformer. So we've actually missed taking out the Borg. I was looking for them. Taking out the Borg there that we normally have to take out first, or we normally target first before the transformer. It's gone. It's not spawning anymore. And that's for all 4 of these, on the left side and on the right side. You can see there again, we took down the transformer there. And now we're at the gate. At least the shield goes, so you can still complete this TFO, but you're just not fighting those 4 groups of Borgs that appear over the nanite transformers, which is a shame because we love Terran Borg a new one, and we can't do that here. But we're still Terran Donnie Denatra a new one, but just not the attack cube. So we go through this again on the right side again, as you can see that the transformer shields are still there. Nothing happened, and we finish even the TFO. No problem. Here, and you can still see that the transformers are still shielded. So that is a bug. And it actually is kind of annoying. I'm not gonna lie. Captains, let me know below what you're thinking about these features or bugs that we're having. It's kind of annoying. I hope these get fixed soon. Now, I will talk again about the Borg in the new mission. And I know I spoke earlier of the ground Borg, so we're gonna go touch back on that again. Now, with the ground Borg, when you do the mission taken by surprise, you're actually given this little tutorial, which is awesome. I kind of did like this. So here I thought I was gonna get past this by using my what? My Tommy gun. Because up to this point, we've been able to just mow down Borg with our Tommy gun in all the Borg content. Doesn't matter which. Elites, they just get mowed down. Why? Because they've never been able to adapt to it. But now, with Incursion, at least with this episode, they can adapt to it, but now we can't remodulate the Tommy gun, which I think is not right. So I have example of here. This was our playthrough of Taken by Surprise. So we encounter the first Borg here, and we're able to take it down. Okay, they're not shielded. You can see my Tommy guns getting through the shields. Boom, done. Right? And this icon here, on top of my tray here, is the icon that you're supposed to actually click on when you are able to remodulate, so that you can fire weapons again. Okay, as that tutorial, little tutorial gives you at the beginning of this mission. So, okay, that's fine. We go through that Borg, no problem. We come through a second set of Borg here, and now my Tommy gun is not doing anything. If the damage is being taken by them is actually being done by my bridge officers, not by my gun. But look, I can't remodulate at all. So I've heard some of my fellow captains say that that's actually now intended. I don't think that should be intended. So I'll give another example here in this episode. So I just said, okay, well, I'm not killing them. And I did only this under advance. So I just used my kit module kits. I just used the ball of lightning there from the summer event to kill them. Thank goodness they can't adapt to that. So here we go to that cutscene here. Love that look. Where we save Captain Harry Kim. And we try to go through the Borg again here with my Tommy gun. And lo and behold, they've already adapted. And I cannot remodulate. See, I'm actually putting my cursor over that remodulation icon, but that's not happening. So what do? I'm like, well, what's going on here? At this point, again, I use just my kits, just clear them out. I really kind of just wanted to use my Tommy gun, but they've changed the Borg in this episode where they cannot, or they can actually adapt to the Tommy gun. At this point, I just said, okay, well, screw this. I'm going to use my Shax cannon, and then so I can remodulate. I switch to my Shax cannon here, and when I face some Borg, see, now that it's lit up. Here, the icon above my tray is now lit up, that I can remodulate. Now, I don't mind the changes in terms of the energy weapons, but they should not be able to adapt to the Tommy gun. Why? Because it's canon where I'll mute that. For Captain Picard, okay? Here we see why we got the Tommy gun. He gets the Tommy gun and is able to mow down the Borg, and they're not able to adapt at all. Right there. He's killing them. No remodulation, no shields going up. It's physical / kinetic damage. They should not be able to, here, the famous screen here. Okay? That should still be a thing in Star Trek Online. So this working as intended, nuh-uh, no. I don't think it should be a thing where the Tommy gun, or even I haven't tried the shotgun. Captain, let me know if you've tried the shotgun, if that's still giving you a problem in this episode. I'm just talking about in this episode because after I did this, the second, third time I did this to get some of the items there, we went down to Defera. And the regular Borg there in Defera and any of the other episodes, they're still fine and still be able to take down with the Tommy gun. For now. But if they're going to give us new TFOs with this new Borg or new missions, I don't agree with that at all. I do not. Now, I'm going to circle back to what I was talking about earlier now, since we're done. I'm done with at least my piece with the ground right now, which I think, again, should be fixed. Tommy gun should still be a thing where it bypasses shields and not the Borg being able to adapt to them. Anyways. So we'll go back here to talk about the Borg in space. Now, I was saying earlier that the assimilators, I don't like them. I don't. Just personally, I don't. One of my ideas were to make the Borg, let's say, more interesting to fight. There was a mechanic here in Taken by Surprise, which was really awesome, which was at the beginning of Taken by Surprise. Here, when we were fighting the Borg, and I may be saying this incorrectly in how I want to word it, but here goes nothing. When we were fighting the Borg initially here, okay, not only did you have to take down an initial HP pool, but after that it triggered an additional secondary, tertiary targets, which were their tractor beams or whatever. And we had to, so there's the Borg cube, we're going to target it. Again, this was only under advanced when we did this. You can see that we're taking down that HP pool there. It's going to hit 0 and or at a certain point, and then something else is going to trigger. Then we had to take down something else after we take down the Borg cube. These tractor, whatever those were, we have to take that down, and then the Borg cube HP comes up. I tried to X that for some reason. Borg cube HP comes back up again, where you can do that. Now, I thought of this where it should be in the new TFOs, if they give us new TFOs. It's like even Guillotine or the other one, Resistance of Starbase 1. There's still a lot of Borg, right? So hear me out. I would rather them replace a group of 6 spheres, 2 assimilators with 1 giant Borg cube, or 3. Let them come in phases, however you want to work it, but make them bigger, but also give them that primary, secondary, tertiary HP pools where you'd have to target the cube initially, take down its HPs, and then take out a target on the cube, like those tractor beams, and then after you take out those specified targets, another HP pool activates, take that out, and then maybe that's it at the end of the Borg there. And then rinse and repeat. I would rather have 1 or 2 Borg cubes on the map rather than 5 assimilators, 17 spheres, and like 20 probes. Because it's still visually too much spam, in my opinion. So that's kind of what I would like to see with the Borg in space. Now, again, that feature of that Borg is only just in this episode. And as fun as I've been having with Incursion and the welcome sort of attempt to make the Borg more dangerous or whatever, it has created more bugs and features. The bugs being, of course, the shields being up there in ISC in some occasions, and then in all occasions of Kinnemer that I've played so far, these shields and not being able to hit and or fuse those Borg that come once you take down those shielded generators. Like, the shields just didn't come off. So whatever change it did to the Borg has screwed up the Borg that we normally fuse. So I would like them to fix that, of course. That's primary. But also take into account what is canon, going back to what I said earlier, and make sure that the Tommy gun, that the Borg cannot adapt to that. And then have them rework the Borg in space. Not just give us spheres that just give us a bigger, badder explosion, but also a little bit more Borg that we can actually fight like we've seen on screen. Okay? Again, I'm all for the simulators. Fine. If you want to keep them, that's okay. I'm glad that they're in the game. I just don't like them personally. Like I said, I give them a score of 5. But to sort of clean up the map and make the Borg more of a threat, like they said, and that's why they brought the simulators in, why not do something like they did already in Taken by Surprise, where once we take out the Borg's primary health pool, a secondary health pool comes up, and it's an individual targets on the cube that you have to target. Again, that may sound like a bad idea, it may be a bad idea, but it's already in the game. And I'd like for them to kind of just go over that. Now again, captains, I've ranted here for a little bit here, and I apologize, and in my intros, I always say I love to share my love and passion for Star Trek Online. This is part of it. Okay, this is part of it, because I love Star Trek Online. This has been my main game for years, since 2014, and it just seems like, as of late, there has been just so many things that have been just not fixed yet. I understand bugs happen, not only in Star Trek Online, but in other games. But it seems like things just linger. The loadout, it's still a bug. I still get problems with my loadout. And that's probably another video for us to talk about, but at least to show, because sometimes there was an instance that I told Avatar, one of our stow devs here, and he's like, huh? I've never heard of that happening. And it may be that they haven't been able to have it replicated when they're doing their testing. But I say that to say I hope that these things that we're experiencing now don't linger around. Okay, I still love fusing the Borgs, will always do that. But when these features or these bugs are present, it kind of takes that fun that I've been having, that me and my fellow captains, we've been having here fusing with the Borg, kind of been taken out. So when I release this video, I will tag the devs somehow and say, hey, look at this, Borg are broken, and of course bring attention to the Tommy gun, maybe even give them an idea for the Borg in space. I don't know, but it also has, when I'm going to talk about a little bit here about the IC, the sort of meta type DPS runs. I know Spencer, of course. We all know Spencer. He's a fellow content creator, but also a good friend of ours. Nick, Rob, K-Wolves, McStud, of course, McStew. They said they haven't been doing any runs. Kane as well, in that. They haven't been doing any runs for ISC because of the changes to the Borg. But they've had to do multiple tries because of that bug that I showed earlier in the ISC, which is that shield still comes up. So yeah, they fixed that sort of shield that was happening problem initially, but this is still a thing, and that needs to be addressed as soon as possible. We don't want that thing to linger. So Caps, do me a favor, do us a favor, right? Let's try to get that message out to the devs nicely. Again, I'm not doing this to bash them at all by any means. I'm doing this to try to bring attention to it. That's it. That's the only purpose I have with this video, is to just bring that attention out, especially about the other things that we talked about in this video. So captains, there's probably a lot more things that I wanted to talk about, but I just wanted to get it out there in this video here on the bridge, so that we can start that discussion. We can start showing this to the devs that there is this evidence, not evidence, but this proof that there is still bugs going on. And again, suggest that those changes that they've done to the Borg with the Tommy gun, and with that they changed that back, and also with the Borg in space, that they possibly consider doing something like that, or that some sort of iteration of that in future TFOs, to make Borg more interesting and not so, and to make them more threatening, which was the whole point of them bringing assimilators in. That's why they were replacing the Borg cubes, because they wanted the Borg cubes to be more of a threat. Make them more of a threat by making them bigger, giving them, you know, primary, secondary, or tertiary health pools somehow. But captains, let me know what you think in the comments below. Also hit that like button. That does help the video get out there to possibly newer captains that can join us here to have these types of discussions, because we do like having these discussions. And again, I don't want this to be taken in a negative way, but yeah, it's been kind of a little bit of annoying, but this is because the passion is still there, because we love Star Trek Online. But again, if you're new here, Captain, please don't be scared away by this sort of negative talk that we have just done in this video. Still consider subscribing here to our YouTube bridge, and of course, hopefully this does get the attention of the devs, and then they can address some, if not all, of the issues. And of course, we will leave it on this note.
Live long and prosper.